Now here I have a Yamaha amplifier. This is an RX-830, and I saw this on eBay, and normally I wouldn't really bother buying something like this off eBay, but the actual colour of the front of it I thought was quite impressive, and the whole case, it's a kind of silver with this, I'm not sure if it's blue or green, but aqua sort of colour piece in there. Front panel does stick out a bit in a weird way, but it's actually quite a nice looking amp. It looks even better in real life than I expected, and this was only $10 plus I think it was $40 postage, so it added up to a bit, and I still won it for around that price. And it said that it wasn't tested and this display wasn't lighting up, and like I suspect, I had a quick look online, it looks like it's an LCD display, so the backlights go out on that, so I'm hoping that's all that's wrong with it, but you never know, there might be something else wrong with it. Didn't come with a remote. The guy selling this actually has the remote listed for about $80 or something, I think, so that's a bit over the board, and it's quite a big horrible remote. I think it's like a big square thing or a rectangular one, and it's got a whole bunch of programmable buttons on it, so I must admit I don't normally use a remote with one anyway. I have it sitting next to me where I can reach it and just tweak the volume control, or use the computer, which is where most of the volume gets done. I can sort of adjust it a bit if I need it within reach, so I'm not that fussed about getting a remote for it. Or I might be able to find a simple remote that just does the basic functions, just like volume, and I mean there's nothing else I really do other than on and off and volume, because it's normally just sitting on the one input these days off the computer. So it's actually a receiver, so it's got the radio in there, and I think it actually had some, we've got Dolby surround, so it is a kind of surround amp. I was going to say it is actually got some video switching on the back. Not much, VCR in and out, laser disc in and out, and video out. So I guess there you got your video in, out is obviously for record, laser disc in, so two input sources, one video out to the monitor, got a remote control for, it looks like tape 1, 2, phono, FM and AM antenna. Yes, we've got rear speaker connection, front speaker connection, so it's an early actual surround amp. Got an AC output, which is always nice. We've got phono, CD, DAT/tape, VCR/tape 2. So I guess if you've got your video hooked in here and your laser disc, you've got to put the sound into something here. Or we've got an LD input for laser disc, which would just be another standard like CD line input. And of course for tape, if it's cassette or digital audio tape and VCR, you need outputs as well as inputs. So it'd be interesting to see what it's like, but it actually is a really nice looking amp. Not sure what it's like inside. It's not massively high powered or anything, I don't think. I never was a massive fan of the early Yamaha stuff. I don't know why, never just those natural sound amps, the sort of old silver ones, just didn't seem to sound as good as other ones for some reason. But I do wonder whether it wasn't just my imagination, but I did repair a few of them and they just didn't seem to sound that great for some reason. But generally Yamaha usually makes some pretty good quality stuff. But some of their surround amps got some rather weird problems, complicated problems. So they weren't the best, I don't think, and they had an awful lot of stuff inside them. Didn't seem to last that long and before they had issues. I don't know if it was just certain models or what, but their later stuff is not necessarily so great, but this sort of era should be some of their better stuff. It's not the real early stuff, and it's not the real late stuff when they went into full surround amps and stuff, and too much microprocessors and stuff in it. But I can see a couple of small amp chips in there, so I don't know if that's probably the rear channels, and hopefully we've got something a bit beefier for the main ones, but I don't listen to things that loud anyway, so it doesn't matter too much. And yeah, there's a bit of stuff in there. One of these switches on a little metal piece that slides up and down. Which one's that? The mode switch. You can see that bit of metal move in there, so it's just a knob with a little metal interlink thing there, interconnection thing. And we've got a couple of, yeah, they're probably the rear channels, yeah, UPC, or they could be the pre-driver chips even. UPC 1188 from NEC, they're like a car audio amplifier. Often they're used to actually drive the output transistors, but in a surround amp you might expect them on the rear channels which aren't as powerful. We've got the usual pairs of transistors down here to be the main amp, I guess. Looks like we've got some fuses on the speaker output there. The other speaker output comes across. That's not the relay. I think that's a standby relay there. Could be a speaker protection relay, hard to tell. And yeah, we've got a incandescent light globe by the look of it, because I can see the discoloration of and the fact that it's in a rubber thing, but the actual plastic's discoloured. Oh, and broken now. That wasn't real good. So it's not just discoloured, it's gone very brittle, because that was correct. I just pulled on the rubber grommet and it pulled part of it off. So that's gone rather brittle. Something might need to be done about that. But we should be able to just find the voltage on that. Looks like it goes back to this board here on a little connector maybe. Gonna have to relieve it of one cable tie. Oh, it even flicked it out of the unit for me, that's nice. So that's our lamp there. So it looks like it is a semi-user replaceable part. Ugh, God, the lead's actually just fallen off it. It's been that hot. And I think this little condom thing goes right over the globe. It's not just a grommet, but it's an actual... Oh yeah, of course, a lot of these displays did have an orange glow, so that was probably to ensure that, but it's actually gone quite clear. Oops, I've ripped part of it off, so that's pretty well had its day. It's not coming off the light globe, it's not doing much yet. It's actually melted on, basically fused to the glass. And it wasn't much use anyway, because it's not orange coloured anymore. And we've got this other little rubber bit we're going to need to salvage. That globe's absolutely no value to anyone. Might want to keep that connector, or I can just solder onto the pins there. So we'll have to find out what voltage that is. I guess I better check the rest of it actually works as well. Would be the smart thing to do. See if that at least powers up. I can hear something go click. We've got there is a speaker relay down there is where it's at. Got a little light on the volume control going. Whether the camera can even pick it up. But there is a red LED in there that probably flashes when you... It's not a very good looking LED, or the plastic's broken on it, one or the other. But that will probably flash as you hit the remote for the volume. Some of these did, some didn't. And yeah, quite a nice looking front end for the radio there. LM7000, that was some sort of FM chip or something. I seem to remember those. I think there might even been an electronic project that used them for something. So I might as well, before I do anything, check this voltage. I guess it's volts AC on these little connector pins. Just making sure I'm not touching anything, because there's bound to be live, or there's live mains on the transformer there. There's live mains around there. And of course there is the power switch, it's on the board, so it's probably not even a 240 volt power switch, so at least we're safe there, but gotta be super careful where your fingers go. 2 volts, that can't be right. I do see what looks like a fusible resistor. Yeah, it is connected to that, so I wonder if we've got if it died and took out the fusible with it. I think if we go to that pin on the fusible and that, yeah, now we're talking voltage. Okay, so we've got 13 volts. Ah, now we've got 13 volts there. What was going on there? Oh, well, there you go. I mustn't have been making a good connection. I'm on the same connector, so that's weird. But anyway, that's working again. So it hasn't cooked the fusible at least. Maybe it's not even a proper fusible, but it looks like one. I don't know why I'd have drop a resistor to a lamp other than to go if the filament shorts out or something. Oh, now, volume down. If it's got protection, I don't even need to test the DC on the output of this thing. Might turn the power off while I hook it up, because that protection relay should disconnect it. And even the surround channel looks like it's got fuses probably rather than a protection relay. So this is speaker set. Oh, this isn't one of these Yamahas. It's got the weird arrangement. No, it is left and right, A and B. A is top, B is bottom. Some of them have the 4 terminals, top and bottom, for one channel. I think it was Yamaha or someone used to do them a little oddball like that, especially in these sort of surround amps. We're on tuner. Oh, of course we didn't even have any speakers connected. And we can't see what we're doing. Manual maybe. Well, I'm not hearing anything. The other one we can go to is, hang on, oh, let's record out. I need input selector. Problem is I can't see a thing. Oh, actually, can I see something changing there? Yeah, that's not much use, is it? Don't know if hitting on these switches it to tuner. Doesn't seem to. Anything else? Oh, wait up, speakers. That would help. So we've got speaker on. Ah, now we've got some noise. But we probably haven't got much reception because we've got no antennas. I'll stick the old roller solder trick in the FM antenna. Is it the FM antenna? 300 ohm balanced. That's not quite loud. Now, how do we tune it? Yeah, there's probably not much point. In fact, we've got some hiss there, is good enough. Might as well get a CD player and plug that in. Photo, CD. Let's say volume's fairly low. Ah, that's the radio maybe. There's our first problem, scratchy volume control. No one's shocked by that. But it is a bit of a newer amp. You don't necessarily expect it on these newer ones. Oh, can I even get in there? Maybe through the side. Fingers crossed. Oh, come on. But there's a front panel in the way, isn't it? That flooded it out, I think. Whole thing's moving around is a worry. Still a little scratchy. Yeah, look how loose that is. Balance is also scratchy. Tone a little bit. So the balance and its loudness. Balance is that part. Not sure I can even get to that. I tried in that hole. Don't think it did anything, but I might have fixed it. Diffusable meme type. Don't know what that means. Protection permanente center risk is Encend Unequipment Baron or something. But it's got some sort of fusible meme type in there. Which in English is caution for continued protection against risk of fire, replace only with same type fuse, I think. Good news is that seems to have come right, but we've got a loose volume control. It's not overly loose, but that is wobbling around more than it should. It's probably just a, I guess I should turn the power off. Okay, so pull on the, oh yeah, look at this. So I've got an LED like that. I wonder why that comes out so weirdly through the front. Yeah, that plastic kind of looks like it's got something wrong with it. Maybe it's got a little crack in it or something, so that comes off. So someone's been giving this a good work out, the old volume control. Oh, it's gone back into the way. Just a case of giving that a good tighten without overdoing it. That shouldn't go anywhere now. Now, what was that wrapped around like so? Must have been. And I guess when that's on, it sort of pushes it into place. But yeah, something looks a bit out of that plastic to me. It's not a nice, consistent, even red colour. But that's the main thing I was worried about. The amp might have other problems, but besides a loose and scratchy volume control and scratchy balance control, it's been pretty good. That's how you do it. Now that is a lot better, you can see that, no problem. Much better, so you can see the input selection there. Tuner. Oh god, not Sandstorm. Photo. Oh, that's right, it doesn't. You're so used to these digital things, they usually just keep going around in circles, but this one reaches an end on Laserdisc and reaches an end on photo. So you can turn this around on and off. It's still a little scratchy. Might need some more contact cleaner in there. I might try it from the other side of the pot maybe. Don't know if it'll make any difference or whether the thing's just gone. It's possible that has only done one gang of the pot or something. It's not coming out the tube. Oh, there it is. Of course, squirts all over the place when you don't want it to. Come on, there you go. I think this can's getting a bit worn out. And now we're going to wait for the speaker protector. Well, that fixed it, so there's a couple of holes on one side of the pot that I squirted contact cleaner into, and I'd say that's only done like the back gang or something, and I squirted them on the other side. That seems to have got rid of all the scratchiness, so I reckon the first lot only got into one half of the pot, one channel basically. That's it. This is loudness flat. Yeah, not sure what they've done with the loudness here. Looks like even when you bypass the tone controls, you've got this loudness control. But it kind of culls everything down to a bassy sort of sound at minus 40 dB. And at flat, it sounds like what you'd expect it. Normally, normal stereo to sound like. Weird, I don't know quite what. Normally loudness sort of affects the tone but not the volume. That kind of makes it sound not as good tone wise and turns the volume right down, but yeah, quite a nice display on it, showing the FM signal quality. Kind of odd to leave the FM channel up and signal etc while you're on CD and stuff, so that's a bit different, but I'd say that's a going system. Unfortunately you can't get the bottom off this one to actually access anything, so the whole board's got to be taken out. Otherwise I'd probably give it a quick check for dry joints, but I must say one good thing about this, even though it must have done a few hours because of that lamp and the fact it's got some scratchy controls and stuff, is that there's no sign of heat affecting anything in here, so it doesn't run particularly hot. At least these driver chips, a lot of them didn't put the, I'm not sure if they're drivers or rear channels, but they wouldn't put these. Every amp should have the driver chips stuck on the main heatsink like this, because when you don't do that, it looks like the volume control comes in, but where do these go? Doesn't really say. Oh, to surround. Oh, that's a different connector though, isn't it? That's, oh yes, that goes up there somewhere. Yeah, I'm not sure. I guess there must be a second gang on this volume control for the surround volumes. So I'm not sure if they're actual outputs. Well, actually they do go to the, that board does go to the surround, so they are actual amp chips. So there's one little IC down there, maybe they're the driver chips, but either way, this, no sign of the board being particularly hot anywhere. There's a couple of resistors there. That might just be a bit of flux, a little bit of discoloration near them, but no sign of heat and stuff. Some of these amps, like that Sony one I had, they run hot all the time regardless of what volume they're at. But that's what I would have liked to see. A lot of the amps actually put their, when they got these sort of driver chips, these are outputs, but when they use them as driver chips they should be bolted to a heatsink like that, because they were nothing but trouble for heat and dry joints and cooking all the capacitors around them. But I must say it's quite a nice little unit. I'm guessing maybe 50 watts a channel or thereabouts. And yeah, I love the colour on the front of it. It's just nice from the usual boring black or silver. This is somewhere in between, a sort of more modern, like a platinum colour or something, I guess. A darker kind of silver, not the old aluminium colour. And I think that'll clean up rather nice. There's a couple of little marks on it. Nothing much. Don't know what that RS thing there means. But it's still got natural sound on it, as they always did. I'll have to see if I can maybe find a remote that is just a basic one that runs a Yamaha. I certainly wouldn't pay $80, $90 for the original remote. I wouldn't probably pay $10 for it looking at it, even though it'd be nice to have the original remote. But yeah, it does worry me a bit, that LED, or that lamp running so hot. But I mean, let's face it, it's done, the damage is done now anyway, so I guess the only other thing I should do is probably melt that heat shrink on a bit so it can't move, even though it's sort of jammed in that thing there anyway. But I want that tight on the wire so it can't sort of slide off. That little rubber bit is a bit loose on there. Probably not going to matter too much, but I guess if I can get this other white ribbon cable to sit on top of it, it might hold it in there. So then I guess it might get cooked by the heat too. But a bit of silicone would do the job. And I guess I should put another cable tie back in there which will help hold that lamp in place. Definitely got the power off while I'm doing this. And that's it. I'll give it a good test run and make sure everything works. Give the front panel a clean up, but it's in pretty good clean condition. Can't complain about that at all. A little bit of a mark on the volume there, I think. Unfortunately, a bit of a scratch But yeah, it's actually quite a nice looking amp, a lot better than the Sony one I got. So I might give that amplifier duty for a while until I get this. Got the transformer for the ETI 5000 amp, so I've got to get that finished, fitted, and everything finished on that one, or everything tidied up. And then I can give that one a good test run. But yeah, quite a nice looking amp, though it is a more modern surround type. But it's a shame they didn't make more of them in that sort of colour. Even though I guess it doesn't fit with all the other black stuff these days. And yeah, it doesn't really fit with the earlier silver stuff either, but that's a nice in-between colour. I like that one. Thanks for watching.